today. Last week we didn't have anybody on, so
Yeah, that's right.
that was weird.
Annette usually does, but she must have something else going on.
Yeah, hopefully she's
Oh yeah,
still
she was at the lake with the kids.
And I had a full house at Country View.
Ah,
Oh great, great.
Well, and your mom usually tries to listen, or at least later on. If she
Yeah.
at the moment.
No, we already got somebody on, but it's not giving me a name yet. Ugh. Always good the internet works too.
live stream was just excellent last night from the school for the volleyball
Yeah,
game.
saw
Just
that.
Oh, good.
super. And I think it's Jake Janigas doing the play-by-play.
Was
and
that who it is?
Just did a wonderful job. Yeah. So
Is that what we need to get? We need to get one of the high school students to do a play-by-play at worship.
Oh,
And now there's the pastor going up to
yeah, we're now heading in.
Well, and now we have our reader. This is the third time they've read this year.
or listen last Sunday. Well, apparently there is no reader today, so.
Oh, is that right?
Well, I've been joking with Jackie, because she likes to know where I'm going to be. It's
Sure.
just to follow the camera,
Sure.
and I had said, yeah, I'll be in the front, and I'll make sure I put the little microphone thing on the lectern for whoever's reading, and then I joked, except for those times every now and then, very rare when,
And this was
and that was one of them. So I'm looking around going, nobody will look me in the eye.
Wait, well, was it Erica sitting behind Linda and Roger one Sunday, and it's time for the reader, and all of a sudden she sees Linda go, and she remembered she had her, and she grabbed Roger and said, "You gotta get up, I gotta get out," and however that worked, and she went up, she had her jacket, the collar was all screwed up on it, and I said, I was watching at home, and I said, maybe it was Dad was still with us, I said, I think she forgot, and she was discombobulated too.
Yeah, she's usually so on.
Oh, she is. So I knew, and Erica said the minute she went like this, she knew that something
No,
was up.
it's one thing I learned when I was a student. Is the pastor I was with said he stops after the prayer of the day for 5 seconds before he moves,
To make
and if
sure.
nobody has moved, he just moves right into
And
it.
that's why so I'll do the transitional statement. And now we turn our focus to the lessons for today. Waiting,
And then you wait.
waiting.
Yes. And it used to be we'd sit right up in front in the choir. Well, and you read too, Darla, for quite a while. Up in the choir seat. So we were
you'd be
right
right
there.
there.
That's
But,
nice.
yeah, it's nice sitting with the family.
Yeah.
It is.
I rewrote a few Bible passages in my day.
I
I
thought
skipped over a line.
Never done that.
that is the hardest reading I have ever done.
Yeah, there's a reason why we're reading the gospel instead of the second lessons. Is reading Paul is like,
Paul is the king of run-on sentences.
Darlene had lots of words that I didn't know yet. Did I ever read this Philemon?
Philemon.
Yeah, that guy, and all those slaves and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it just maybe in the version I had was a slave. I don't even know if it had a name.
Onesimus.
Not so much. No.
the Greek
Yeah,
Greek
that
names
guy.
are fun. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, we should get started. We got
Yes,
a few coming on
please.
now.
Oh, come on. We're having fun.
Oh, I know.
That's how it usually was at Country
Yeah.
View too. We'd go on about prayer concerns, and
About a half
we
hour,
were
yeah.
and there were some good concerns we were needing to bring forward. Okay, the prayer.
Okay. You want me to start?
Well, you have the early service, don't you? Yeah, go for it.
Okay. O God, overflowing with mercy and compassion, you lead back to yourself all those who go astray. Preserve your people in your loving care, that we may reject whatever is contrary to you and may follow all things that sustain our life in your Son, Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord.
Amen.
Well, we're in Luke chapter 15, verses 1 through 10. This is the chapter of the lost things. We are skipping starting at 11 is the story of the prodigal son, and that is for another Sunday. So Luke 15, 1 through 10. Here Jesus tells two stories that suggest a curious connection between the lost being found and sinners repenting. God takes the initiative to find sinners, each of whom is so precious to God that their recovery brings joy in heaven. Now all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling and saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. "Which of you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? When he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders and rejoices. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost.' Just so I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one of them, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? When she had found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost.' Just so I tell you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents." The gospel of our Lord.
Praise to you.
Well, once more, Jesus is accompanied by the Pharisees and scribes who are complaining about the company Jesus keeps. They grumble, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." Because there has to be the righteous and the unrighteous, right? So what might be wrong with interacting with sinners? Why were they so horrified?
To be led astray. They
rub off on you.
But the Pharisees weren't actually that nice of people, so they were definitely
they were-
sinners.
yeah.
Come on.
They knew the law.
They did,
They
but
were the
they
people
used
you
it
looked
to their
up
own
to.
advantage.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, they're just regular people, but they knew the
cared
law
to
very
it.
well, and they took it very seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to be right with God. I don't think we need to assign any nefarious things to them necessarily, but Jesus definitely is upsetting the apple cart of how they've known how faith and life works.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're supposed to be righteous
trying to figure out how to put the camera.
and separate yourself from those who aren't, I mean, how can Jesus, as holy man,
He was challenging
But-
everything.
But they were pompous bigots. I mean, they used it for their own advantage.
Yes.
But they're reinforcing what they have thought
Been
their whole
taught.
lives.
They
you know.
thought was right.
If the ground is shaky under your feet, you'd look for firm ground.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I never thought highly of the Pharisees because of how they treated Jesus.
yeah.
No, I usually don't think highly of them, but they thought highly of them.
Well, they got
They thought very highly of themselves.
Good point.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah.
That's the problem, is they think very highly of themselves. I mean, they've worked really hard to make themselves look right.
Yeah, they do take it extremely seriously, and so I think part of that can kind of move into self-righteousness. I'm so much better.
I think part of it too is, I don't know if you remember telling your kids, be careful who you hang out with at school.
Yes. That's,
Because
yes.
people will assume, no matter
Yes.
how good you are, that if you're hanging out with the wrong crowd,
Guilt by association.
Yes.
That's what I always said.
Jesus is there eating with sinners. I mean,
And he's trying to realign the whole way to look at the world and God and people. And yeah,
We're still doing that today.
we are definitely.
yeah, I think.
We
Yeah.
sure don't learn from our mistakes, do we?
I still remember when I moved here, I give the joke, I want my private jet, because Creflo
Yes.
never asked for
It's
one.
such a that.
But one of the other megachurch pastors got into the phrase saying, "Yeah, I need a private jet because do you know how hard it is to ride an airplane full of sinners?"
No.
And it's just like,
Including the pilot.
yeah, but it's just, we get stuck on this. Is we're better, and you don't want to be eating with your lessers.
Or they might think you're condoning their behavior,
Yes.
which would also be not a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, who is not a sinner? Haven't met one yet.
No.
I've heard rumors that grandchildren aren't.
Oh, yes, they are. But they're just a little.
They're
Perfect
cute
in every
sinners.
way. Perfect in every
They're
way.
just precious.
Mm-hmm.
So our duty is to just be good examples for them
I think on the
and
flip
love
side,
them regardless if they do good or bad.
on the flip side is grandparents. If you're a grandchild, because you don't get to see them and all their, you only get to see them when they're
Every once in a while,
Spoiling
you
you.
get to see that.
Yeah.
You know, every once in a
Okay, it may be more often for
yeah,
you,
well, because our
But,
kids
yeah.
our grandchildren are
close by.
Yeah,
We're lucky.
very
We're
lucky.
very fortunate.
No, that's I like about being Lutherans. We could admit we are both saint and sinner at the same time.
That's a hard concept for a lot of people to get
It
though,
is.
too.
It is.
It is a real.
But then,
Well, and that's the thing. So much about faith is paradox, and paradox isn't necessarily easy.
No,
You know.
I think that is the key right there. That mixed message that you often get, and you get mixed messages from a lot of people, and a lot of you can see good or see bad in a situation. It's what you get out of it,
And that, you know, life isn't always black and white.
It's a lot of gray. It's a lot.
And that's why discernment is even more important, and why the application of faith in daily life is so important and not a simple task.
and what do we get in the passage previous to this? You know, Jesus said, if you want to be unless you take up your cross, you can't be my disciple. And you know, Jesus isn't saying that this following part is easy.
That's for sure.
Okay. Well, Jesus responds by telling 3 parables describing the joy experienced when the lost is found. The parables include a shepherd who loses a sheep, a woman who loses a coin, and a father who loses his son. All are contained in Luke 15, and the first 2 parables are included as part of this reading and lesson. So what does it feel like to lose something?
Depends on what it is.
I was just thinking that.
Car keys?
All the time.
My sunglasses.
Where's my cell phone? You know.
I set something down and then I come back and I'm like, oh crap, where'd I set it down?
I'll take off my glasses and put them someplace, especially at night.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and I'm blind.
Yep.
And there's life-altering loss too.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
There are things that are precious and people that are precious.
Yes, indeed.
That
Try not to take that for granted, and it's so easy to do. You get used to something, and
Yeah.
well, and some things that we lose, it's oh darn.
yeah,
Whereas other things, I mean, it never leaves you.
Yeah.
no. We know that, don't we, Darla?
Yeah.
We would be celebrating a birthday this month, wouldn't we? All day. We'd pick out something to do almost all month long. Lots of fun adventures we took, Beth.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of adventures. Yeah. Well, we keep the chair. I set my purse on her, but she understands. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, and everybody reacts differently to loss. Too.
Yes.
It's, you know, some are devastated by it. Some are brought to their knees. Others are more upright. I don't know. It's just I don't. Is it how you're raised? I don't know how you respond.
I was talking to my dad just this past week about that because when his mom died, you know, he was the oldest. He was the oldest son.
Oh yes.
So he had to keep it together. He had to be,
Yeah.
you know, taking care of
Yeah.
everything.
Yep.
And I remember even at that young age being worried for him. When
Yeah.
does dad get to grieve?
Yeah.
You know, and that grief, true grief, didn't come until very much later.
I think that's also one thing we've done with our society is, you know, we've cut off grief.
Yeah.
It's
You're supposed to be over it. It's gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've talked about it. You're never over it.
no,
You're never.
no.
And
But
it comes at odd times. It comes, things remind you, and off you
Yes.
go. And you might be driving along the road, or you might be out in the grove, and all of a sudden it comes roaring back at you.
Song comes on. Or,
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. We're cleaning out the shop, and Andy's out there right today digging and finding stuff. You go, oh my gosh, you know, it just. I think my kids are. You know, the grief is
Yeah.
attacking them.
Yeah.
odd times. So. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know what's gonna
No.
trigger it.
No.
So the second I see a Dr. Seuss book, I think of my Aunt Bee.
Oh.
There's some things I just know.
Yeah.
I see a cane and I think of Sophia tripping my grandmother.
Oh. Oh.
She was so little.
Oh, she was crawling.
No, she's a toddler.
She just got up to run.
Oh.
and
right in front
got
of her.
caught up into Grandma's legs. And it was one of the only moments in my life where everything all of a sudden went down to slow motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm watching Grandma starting to fall,
Yeah.
and Sadie looking like, or Sophia looking like she's going to tumble.
We were down visiting Jim when Marv's dad was behind me on these steps, and we were going up into the kitchen, and there was just a few steps, and it was the backyard went this way, and Grandpa had to be in his 80s. And I look behind me, he's gone. And there he is, just rolling down the hill. Are you okay? Yeah, my grandma taught me how to fall, he says. He got up, brushed himself off, came back.
I never used that either, but I was with my good friend. We were doing a best ball benefit thing for work, and he rolled me out of the cart, and I just got up quick and run back up the hill and got in. Brian said, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" "Oh yeah, let's go." On to the next hole. But he says he was telling everybody about this because it was just a week before he passed away that I had done it. He said, "Darla was the funniest thing I ever saw. She was rolling down the hill like a hedgehog." Oh, just curled
Well,
up.
that's
in
the way you do it.
I said, "Hey, yeah."
Protect your head.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Oh.
okay.
So, what do you do when you realize something is missing?
Well, you look for it, or in our case, you grieve. I guess when we lost it,
Remember them.
and memories, and keep going.
Yeah.
Keep breathing. Keep going on.
Well, and again, depending on what or who, it's panic. Remember when
Oh.
Sophia disappeared in
Oh,
Pomona?
sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a good
panic,
word,
pure
too,
and simple.
panic.
Capital P. Oh.
Yeah.
Panic and then start being rational and figure out what to do.
Well, yeah, I remember having that moment of clarity of, I don't have time to be freaking out.
Yeah, I've got to do something. Yeah, right.
Yep. Okay, how long?
So, how quickly do you give up on the lost item?
Depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Again.
There's 30 seconds for looking for Sophia.
Yeah.
Turn around and she's right there.
No, she hid pretty well.
Yeah, she did a good job. And she thought it was delightful. It was a wonderful game.
My granddaughter did that to her folks once when she was a toddler. She hid under a clothes rack. It was terrible. Terrible.
Your son did that to my sister.
Yes, under a mattress.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, he was a toddler. She was babysitting. She went up to check on him. There's nobody in the crib. That's because he wound himself down underneath the Andrew. Andrew.
I know the story.
I know.
I think it depends on how urgently you need to leave. You know, like
Yeah.
if you lose your car keys, you give up, grab the other set, and
If you can find
head
it.
out. Yeah. The advantage of having two sets of keys.
If you know where the other set is.
Yeah, that
That's
helps.
the proviso.
Yeah, that's another one that depends on how quickly give up.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, the first parable describes a shepherd with 100 sheep that loses one. He leaves the 99 to seek the lost. On some level, this parable is not reasonable. Why abandon and risk the 99 in order to help one? Perhaps the shepherd brought the sheep to a protected place before departing. Or perhaps the shepherd risks everything out of his love for the one. Either way, the lost sheep matters. Yet the parable is not about proper shepherding techniques as much as the joy of finding the lost. In fact, the joy is so abundant, the shepherd goes home and throws a party to rejoice at the lost being found, which I find really funny because sheep get themselves in trouble all the time. You'd have to be partying all the time. Imagine hearing this parable if you were lost. What might you feel?
Joy that you were special,
That you matter.
That someone's looking for you.
You're not forgotten.
loved.
I think our hymn of the day is Amazing Grace.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, people are going to be happy this Sunday. Some good old hymns were one of the choices this week. So.
Good harmonies.
Softly and tenderly.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the first one.
That's a good.
But yeah, it's good to, I guess it's too, is, especially as a child, to realize that your parents will look for you.
Well, imagine hearing this parable if you're one of the 99.
What makes him so special?
Yeah.
Maybe anger.
I didn't run away.
Jealousy.
Why aren't you paying attention
Yeah.
to me?
Yeah. Jealousy.
Why are they more special than I am?
Or if one of your siblings is getting into trouble and getting all the attention, and you're like,
And I didn't do anything.
but I'm the one being good.
Yes. Yeah. Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The question we had yesterday is, did they have mutton at the party?
Oh. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Probably. Probably.
I don't know if you've
The
ever,
meat of the day.
I don't know if you've ever searched for, I used to remember my dog would run away and it's like, I'm going to kill that dog when I find it.
Yeah.
And being so excited when I do find him.
irony. Yeah. Yeah.
You had a dog when you had your allergies?
I'm not allergic to dogs, just
Oh,
cats.
just cats. Oh,
Just cats.
okay.
The cats love him.
Yeah, because they probably know they're driving him
Yeah.
to sneezing.
Okay, well, the second parable is of a woman who had 10 silver coins but loses one of them. It is estimated her money is worth months of savings. She fervently searches her home until she finds it. Like the shepherd, she invites her friends to celebrate. Her joy is contagious and spreads to others. With whom do you relate, a shepherd or a woman, and how so?
Well, I'm not that wealthy. I'll go with the shepherd.
Yeah,
And what difference does it make? They both found something.
It's more how you can see yourself. Which parable do you see yourself more easily into? I mean, that's one of the nice things about having 3 different parables. We're only getting 2 here, but
but
You find yourself in.
where do you see yourself? Which one do you find most easily connecting to?
well, I'm very often the woman who loses something and is fervently going around the house trying to find it.
You're so thrilled when you find it.
And then he walks in, he says, "Isn't that it right
Oh, yeah.
there?" Why, yeah.
I was underneath a pile of blankets as the kid came over and played, had forts made up. Been there, done that. I'm still looking for some triple antibiotic.
No kidding. Disappeared. Disappeared.
I went with another one. I poked my arm and I got this very big
Oh, yeah.
nail puncture
Oh.
and in it, and
Ouch.
kind of getting sore.
Hope you got your tetanus shot
I
in the last
gotta
10
check
years.
it for. I think it's recent.
I think I do. That's something to think
I'll
about.
just check it today.
Yeah.
And that's the nice thing about the My Chart is,
I could look at that, but it's just as easy to call the clinic.
oh, that too.
I'm old school though.
That works too. So, after searching so long for a lost son, why spend the money on a lost coin? Why spend the money on a party?
It's quite a question, isn't it? It seems she's being frivolous when losing one meant so much to her.
She spent a day,
Yeah.
wasted a day trying to find it, and then
Yeah.
uses money to throw a party. It's just
You know, but why
Why not?
I mean, why?
Yeah.
Why not celebrate? I remember reading a story about folks living in Siberia, having been sent there for various reasons during the really worst of years, And one woman was telling her story, and that a couple was getting married, and they threw this huge party and invited everybody. Everybody could come, and they would get free food. I mean, it was just this big deal, and they had next to nothing. And some relatives were saying, why did you do that? I mean, you're barely surviving as it is, and this couple doesn't have anything. And they're like, we had to celebrate. How can we not celebrate? And if we don't celebrate, then why even bother doing any of this? Bother getting married, bother even trying to live, you know? Find joy in what you've found.
I think that was interesting. In college, we got a lot of days off of class because we had a rabbi for instructor.
Yes. Rabbi Mark Vermon.
And during the Jewish holidays, they would get together, and it wouldn't be just we're coming over for Christmas Eve for a couple hours. It's
Couple days.
we're getting together as a family, and I think that
was the most interesting class.
okay. With your family being the exception, not something we do very often. Is get together
Well,
for
we're not as
long
often
gatherings.
as we have been.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can,
Keep that going.
we hope,
Yeah.
our
You do it when you can.
Yeah,
we plan, we
Yeah.
but you realize how important those celebrations are.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I think the more and more with age, you realize the importance. I think when you're younger, you take it for granted. Well, we're going to do this again because we always do it this time of year. But when you get older, you realize there is a end
Yes.
to it.
There's a finality to life.
And so, like our reunion, it was much different this summer for us because,
Mark wasn't there.
yeah, and we just appreciated everybody that was. Yeah,
Yeah, we sure did.
yeah, we did. We had a good time.
I was glad the boys told me that to keep doing the
Yes,
bingo.
I thought that was so cute.
They still did. Well, see, when they're little, we always had little kind of fun little things. Well, they're not little anymore, except Lila.
Yeah.
But she didn't. She needed school stuff too, so I just got about $60 worth of school stuff, and Carrie had gotten some stuff
And they play bingo.
because Dan had said, "Yes, we're doing bingo." Okay, Dan's a senior, and I was ready to say, "Okay, we'll just do the beanbag." But no, we had fun doing it because it's something that was
That's what you do.
done forever.
It's tradition.
It's tradition, and it's just like you said, the joy
joy
of
of
being
it.
together as a extended
And the
family.
memories. And the memories.
Yeah,
It's really kind of a three-family get-together.
That's awesome.
the
It is.
the
We're
18
lucky.
cousins, the 18 cousins.
That blows my mind. I have 5 cousins. The,
I did
the
too.
girls have 5 cousins.
I have 3 now. I only had 5. Yep.
But like for so many people too, the Henry, Doris, and didn't really have much connection with any other family. So, and Dad's family was over the Kingdom Come, or 3 hours away, 2.5. So that was an every Sunday thing to get together with Grandma and
Well, and that those bonds, that kind of love, doesn't have to just be by blood. I mean,
Right.
how many years now have we celebrated Thanksgiving with our friends?
Right,
Yeah, I remember
right.
you guys-
That is just
you
an
always hope for
awesome
good weather,
tradition.
so-
Yes,
can
yes. Well, and
get
then we
together.
really wondered how this is going to work now because my parents no longer go south.
Yep.
And
Maybe I'll have to do a
and-
new tradition with all of them.
well, and Chuck's mom needs
Never
us around
change
even more so.
Yes, yes.
But my mom.
We've made it better. I
what
don't
you
call
do.
it change, but we've
Make
made
it better.
it.
Yeah.
But my
We
mom
made it.
said, I don't want to mess with that. That's a beautiful thing. So we're going to Montana to your brothers. Oh, okay.
Okay, well, as long
That
as
could be a iffy thing too through the past. though.
Yes.
The past
Yes.
is never an issue. Never windy, never snowy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
raining and
Where in
hail the
Montana?
last time I drove through
yeah,
there.
I've got friends that live there.
Yeah, that Bozeman Pass driving through Livingston.
Yeah, the wind.
Even in good weather, Livingston is.
Yeah.
I know Livingston.
Watching those big trucks kind of go, no.
It's nice to have the small car then.
Yeah.
And I think we got to why
Beautiful
forget.
country, though.
Yeah,
It
why
sure is.
why not forget the party and save money? I think we answered.
Yeah,
that.
we
Yeah, I
did.
think we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
God's joy when the lost is found and sinners repent is the heart of the gospel message. God does not condemn, but rejoices with an overflowing party. There is hope for all of us, sinners that we are. Through the Holy Spirit, God is at work seeking us and drawing us to Jesus Christ. So what is the message of this passage for you?
I like that sentence. There is hope for all of us sinners that we are. I think hope is a huge, huge word. I know we've talked about grace, but hope, I mean, it's what you survive on. It's oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And through good and bad, Diane brought this up this weekend. You need to, you need to go on, and you need to just let it be. You can't change stuff. You just have to
Hope for the best.
just have a mindset that you're going to get on.
Yeah.
You're going to go on, and other people you just have to focus on having your own mind clear.
You can't control how other people.
No, that's
huge.
We just have to.
We're responsible for ourselves and how we react.
Yeah.
And we just have to have a good time and continue that. Just don't let the negative part of life get you unhappy, because then you'll just be unhappy. That's hard.
Yeah.
Well, the girls have been talking about the different generations and how they have different attitudes and all this stuff. You know, because there's a big thing about like boomers versus millennials and all that kind of stuff. And I just roll my eyes.
That's a bull crap.
People are people.
Yeah. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, but they've got a theory.
there are so many theories. And they said for us in Gen X, you know, forgive my language, but basically Gen X is life sucks and then you die.
Yeah.
So we might as well kind of have a little fun while we're here. You know.
But that sounds like the hippie generation. Flower children.
Here I always thought life sucks, then you die. Why not make everybody else miserable?
Oh, thanks, honey. Yes. That explains the foundation.
I like Diane's theory. I like Diane's theory better.
That went out on the airwaves. You do realize
Yes,
that.
I know.
Okay.
But that, you know, and that.
My nickname in college was the party pooper.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm Grandma No Fun, so.
There you
Oh
go.
boy, she is too.
Do you ruin it?
I
You ruin
guess
the
I
fun.
did. I've been told any number of times you wouldn't let us wrestle, you wouldn't let us fight, you wouldn't.
I suppose you don't even let them play baseball in the house.
No, I can't believe it. And oh my God. So yeah, Grandma No Fun. I just revel in it.
I love it. What I find
They love
interesting,
you, though.
yes. What I find interesting is millennials are seen as the ones with hope, and we can make a change, and that this Generation Y
I have no idea.
is like the most depressed and has no hope at all. I'm like, what happened in it?
What years are the Y?
I don't track it anymore.
Is it 2010 forward?
I think so.
Oh,
But it's just,
yeah.
Well, thank goodness our little ones don't have that attitude.
No,
Let's just keep on
It's
being
a tough
positive
thing.
for our little ones.
Keep on.
It's a taught thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the other message of this is, you know, as we, you know, talk about it, there's grace for that, you know.
yeah.
You know, when things go wrong, when you make mistakes, you know, so like Martin Luther talking to Melanchthon, you know, the idea to sin boldly, that, you know, grace more may great, I can't.
May abound.
More boldly, but you know, it's the idea that you're going to make mistakes as you try to figure out this life, and that there's forgiveness for that. There's,
And no matter how you, whatever your philosophy or how you view or how you take it all on, it doesn't change the fact that life is amazing and awful and I mean everything in between. But we have a God who's faithful.
and there's the flip side is you realize that these parables are telling us that God is hunting for us. You know, searching for us, going through the wilderness for us, trying to find ways to bring us back.
The hound of God never stops. The hound of heaven. So how do you share in God's joy?
I think each day presents an opportunity for you to bring joy to other people, you know, in small ways, in big ways, but there's always an opportunity and you shouldn't look past it. You need to be that listening ear, you need to be that shoulder to sometimes to cry and other times just to laugh,
Yeah.
like we're doing here. You know, other times just to share and
And you never know what it is that's going to make a difference.
Nope. Exactly.
As I've said too, I mean, it's amazing when you're working with customers or clients, you know, or patients, how much when they give you patience and courteous, you know, as you're doing
Respect.
it, respect as you're doing it,
Oh,
how
yeah.
much that makes a
Oh,
difference
yeah.
as you're,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, same as with students too. You know, when they give you respect, they gotta imagine that.
Your attitude is huge.
It is absolutely.
And, you know, that word patience, it's just a lot of people have, just don't
You know,
have
I
patience.
still remember, you know, you get customers yelling at you and working on the other side of the counter. It's just like you finish the day. It's like you're just so.
When you get that, your mind just closes down.
Yeah.
You just can't think at all.
I imagine it's the same in teaching and with nursing. Is
Selling T-shirts out there.
Yeah.
We've had some
Oh,
really
no.
difficult people.
Oh,
they
my.
are so special that it's just like,
Yes.
that tie-dye. Could I have one with a little more yellow? Went through every blasted shirt. And then did she even buy one? Did she?
She did, and she folded all those shirts too.
Oh,
And-
well,
and
good.
So I was busy with something else. I
But
just
good.
we are always ready for the unusual, and we get it.
yeah.
And then to try to be kind and outgoing, we've been complimented on how we treat people and stuff. Well, yeah, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
You know,
But it's like
yeah.
they're tie-dye. You should wear a tie-dye shirt.
This man bought a bonnet and put it on and wore it into the show. I thought, now you have two choices, or you can just break down in guffaws. You
That's
can
not
laugh
the
till you're
first one.
sick, or you can just accept it like a normal thing and just say,
Wait,
well, thank you.
he's not the first one that did that bad.
Well-
We've had other gentlemen do the
what was
same
it?
thing.
I like to watch CBS News in the morning.
Yeah.
And one of the things yesterday is a mom had filmed their 2-year-old walking onto the airplane, and every seat level he came to, he'd turn and say, "Hi, hi." You know, in that way where, you know, you'd have to be completely evil if you don't respond
Yeah,
back.
the
Yeah.
innocence,
Yeah.
the innocence of
The
kids,
joy of their
Yeah.
face.
the
Yeah,
sweetness.
that's special.
Well, now we come to the word among us. A struggling congregation considered closing its doors because worship attendance had dipped so low. But their newly called pastor had much enthusiasm. Slowly, over a period of months, people who had not worshipped in years began to come back to the church. One woman who had always sat in the front was tempted to sit in the back, saying, "If I'm in the front, then I can't welcome those who finally come back to church. This is so exciting. There was so much joy each Sunday." But not all had joy. Some of the congregation who had endured the pain of the bad years resented people coming back to enjoy the good years. One man asked, "Where were these members when we needed them? Why didn't they call me back when I tried to get them involved?"
Yeah. There's pain that needs to be processed.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation wanting to rejoice at the loss being found, but meeting resentment?
Yes.
The Vikings get in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. Just another
one game at a time.
No, I mean when they do get the playoffs, all of a sudden everybody wants to.
Oh,
get
that
involved.
on the
jumping
bandwagon.
It's on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the situation, if you would be specifically talking about church,
Yeah.
where you cannot make a big deal out of someone coming back because that puts them in a comfortable position. Or, as we've talked about before, why don't you sign the guest book? You don't do that either, but
No,
we've
you
heard
don't.
it done.
And
And it was a very irritating thing to the
And then I
person
went and did it on
that's-
Sunday.
we
Well, I've had times where I've welcomed people and they get offended. Well, I've always been a member here, and I'm like, I've been a pastor here for 2 years, and
And I
I've never
haven't
seen
seen
you
you.
before.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say that to you.
No, it's a very,
My problem is I have no brain left to remember people. I can't remember names if my life depended on it. And,
they say that could be a post-COVID symptom.
oh no, it's
It's
been
always
since
been that
birth.
way.
It's been since birth.
I don't know if that's such a big
So
deal.
technically, yeah, I'll
I'll
start doing
remember.
that.
Yeah, there we go. I'll
Everybody-
remember a face for forever, but names.
No, that was the part that drove me nuts. You know, at Best Buy, I could remember where every little item was in the store.
Sure.
But names
So
just.
you give me a
escape
name
you.
and it's,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, somebody would come in and they need one small part and it's like, yep, right there. You know,
I had somebody at the fair too. You look so familiar. I says, yeah. I says, your husband's surgery. I was his nurse. Oh. I says, yeah, I don't have the blue head a cap on and a mask. You know, it's just the
I
eyes.
still
Oh, yeah.
recognized you, yeah.
Well, they were also neighbors to Fred too, and he played ball with Jim and that. But even still, you know, when you see somebody that you normally see here, you see them someplace else.
Yeah.
And I should know you.
Yeah.
You know, or there's
context
there's
makes a
oftentimes a person that's kind of a twin.
Mm.
You know,
Oh, yes.
Karma Carlson. I was up to the state fair, and this
Karma.
girl looked just like Karma, because I'd seen a picture of her just recently,
Oh.
but I haven't run into her since high school.
Sure.
But we're on Facebook, so
Yeah.
I says, "Are you Karma?" No, but I'm Scandinavian. 'Cause she, you know, and she looked about the same age as I. I said, "Yeah, we always got a twin."
The doppelganger out
The
there somewhere.
doppelganger, yeah.
So, and then what prevents some people from rejoicing when the lost has been found?
I remember what you did.
Yeah, it's resentment.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about it's, you know, why are they getting special treatment?
Yeah.
You know, I've always been here. Why don't I get this part? You know, it's the next parable. Why don't I get this party? Or,
Yeah.
you know, or we see, you know, the shepherd is spending all this time with this one sheep. Why isn't he spending time with me?
Yeah.
We dwelt on the prodigal son earlier this year in church. It's kind of
Yeah.
I suppose I get the cat. Why aren't they petting me? I don't know if you've ever had two, you know, when you walk up to a place that has two dogs or two cats.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, why are you taking care of me too? Yeah.
Well, and the girls used to quiz us about who's the favorite.
Oh yeah. I still get that. I still get that. Three kids
And
in their 40s.
They both know who the favorite is. And it's the other one.
Yeah.
Or I like that great, was it the Golden Corral commercial now with the daughter, they're out there
Oh,
eating
yes,
chicken and
the
the daughter
chicken.
asks the dad, so which
Which
is your
is your favorite?
favorite?
Yeah, yeah.
Thinking which your favorite chicken? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, well, it's your brother.
Yeah.
How can I choose
Try to
chicken? I
backpedal
love all
out
the
of that.
chicken. But it's the your brother is just really special.
The parables told by Jesus are familiar, but not as simple as they appear. Sometimes it is easier to get caught up in grumbling about those newcomers and the changes needed to accommodate the lost. Take a moment to prayerfully ponder where you find yourself in the lesson. Do you relate to those who complain about Jesus eating with sinners, those who are lost needing to be found, or those filled with joy at finding the lost? Explain.
I like to complain.
I guess I'm in the lost needing to be found.
Yeah, I think
I
find
feel,
myself in
I
there.
think Beth and I both, you know, feel, Marv, every week I would stop and visit about some kind of financial thing with the offering and so on. And I really miss that guy. I know you do too. And having lost Fred almost 5 years now. Very close to that. And it seems like it's just yesterday. I want to tell him something that happened. And then, of course, with Mom being her birthday month and all the, you know, family time was different, but we did do golfing together. And for not everyone could make it, but
She was a fun little woman.
it was just part of carrying on and feeling lost.
I think there are holes that you're trying to figure out how to fill, and
Yeah.
you're not going to, but yeah. So
Or new, I don't know, or is it new paths? You're trying to figure out how to take
Yeah,
a path
yeah,
when the path is
yeah.
blocked.
yeah,
How do you do that?
being asked,
Or how do you adjust to a different way to think
live.
of our home and
yeah, I've been asked I don't know how many times when you're moving off the farm.
what difference does it make to people? I don't really know.
Yeah, they're just curious.
Yeah.
I did have a friend tell me the other day I need a medic alert since I'm living alone.
I've thought about that too. Especially.
I thought, holy cow, here I am. Yeah. So anyway, I think I agree with Darla, the lost needing to be found. But I think the next question, number 4, is very pertinent too, because
Well, we already explained it too.
well, it's a different point in your life.
Right.
Yeah, we had answered the last question differently at various points in life.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, depending on where you were in your life. Yeah.
Well, and I think, you know, sometimes we begrudge others the attention or the joy that's found in them, and you're going, but I need that too. Instead of, yes, I'm celebrating you right now. I know I'm loved. I'm secure in that love. That's okay. Let's celebrate you. But there's a part of us that's always, you know,
What about me?
what about me?
That's pretty human.
No, I lost who we're at.
I think you.
Ultimately.
Oh, whose turn it is?
Yeah, whose turn it is?
Oh my gosh.
Good to watch.
So
You're gonna have to highlight.
at
I
some
used to
point.
do that.
Here, do you have a sign?
Ultimately, this passage is not about resenting or grumbling. It's not even about lost, but about God who seeks the lost and rejoices when sinners repent. The word repent means to turn and face a new direction. No longer lost, the person now faces God. Instead of anger and wrath, the lost person discovers a God who welcomes the lost home and throws a party. No doubt the lost person rejoices, but this joy pales in comparison to the joy of God who finds the lost. Attempt to describe God's joy when we as sinners repent.
Hallelujah. 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 Overwhelming joy, yes.
You know, I guess it is this, one thing, I've heard, with teachers, it's when you finally get a student that, finally figures out, gets that aha moment.
Aha moment, yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. You have to recognize it too. You have to let them know. Yeah.
I've been told it's pretty exciting when your kids get old enough that they realize you know something.
We're seeing that
When
more.
does that happen?
You gotta wait. You gotta wait for a while yet.
Yeah, but we've
No,
seen,
it
we've
ain't
seen
gonna happen.
little,
We've
we've
seen
seen little.
Yeah.
A glimmer? Is there a glimmer?
Yeah.
Fortunately, Sadie's still young enough, I get that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
I
they
love
still,
when I made eye contact with her when you were saying something, and it just
Oh,
like,
yeah. She
oh,
loves
you
that.
poor thing.
Yeah.
Nothing better
I
than
went to
being a
Dover
sermon
Sunday.
illustration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah, it's just kind of fun. We definitely get the sass back.
yeah.
She's a sweetie.
Yeah, it's pretty great. She has a new teacher and says, "Oh, I love this new teacher. She reminds me of Dad. She's so sarcastic."
Good for
like,
her. She's
yay.
got spunk.
I look at him as, see,
Yeah,
I told
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
I'm not sarcastic. So attempt to describe your joy at being found, forgiven, and accepted by God.
Just awesomeness. Just really.
Yeah, the joy beyond words.
It almost goes back to when you reach that age where you realize your parents know something. And realize that part of that is you realize their love for you too, at that, how immense that is.
Yeah. And when it's gone,
Yeah. There's a lot of pain involved in that.
Yeah,
A lot of pain.
it is.
The precious gift of it.
After I got married too, Mom, became my best friend.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
She was always pretty special, but then we were just more two women who were good friends.
My mother and I were too.
Yes. Yes.
We had we were very lucky. And not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. And so you shouldn't take it for granted.
No.
Yeah, I wish I could be, closer to my mom, but we just don't live.
Yeah, that
Near
makes
enough.
a big difference.
Sometimes
Proximity.
proximity, but sometimes you can still have a
yeah.
good relationship.
Oh yeah.
My mother loved for me to take her shopping. It was a highlight of her week. And I took her to someplace, and she went through the door. Her hand caught, and it's like it peeled back the skin. I said, Mom, we're going to have to go home, and I'm going to have to take care of that. She says, no, you're not. You go into that store, you get this and this, you fix me up, we're keeping on. And so I bandaged her up in the car, and away we went. Yeah. There was no stopping, because those trips out were a very, very big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just put the skin back and put the bandage on.
It'll heal.
And it did. And it did.
Or you just even the power of not maybe even recognizing that you really have felt that loss as deeply as you have until something reminds you.
Yeah.
Remember my senior year, I got to do the trip to Germany, and it was the first time I was away from home for any length of time, and first plane rides,
Tough. Yes.
and we're in a whole another continent. And I mean, it was
But
an
you were
amazing
young and full of
experience.
adventure.
Exactly, and it was a wonderful experience. But I remember when I got home, my mom was ready to pick me up,
Yeah.
and just the feeling that overcame me of I'm home. I'm where I'm.
Yeah,
meant
there's
to be.
nothing better.
It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. My folks picked me up in Fargo, North Dakota after I'd ridden the bus all night from Yellowstone. I've been gone 3 months. Longest I've ever been away from home. And Mom and Dad are standing there, and I get off the bus, and they took a picture, and the joy on my face.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, it's Mom and Dad,
Yeah.
I'm out of those mountains.
Was it a Greyhound bus?
Yes. From Livingston. I got on the bus in
Oh
Livingston.
heavens.
Yep, rode all night.
That was, I think,
Best
Dad's
bus
route.
ride of my life.
That was Dad's route before he got married.
Is that right? Oh gosh. Well, yeah, that would have been made for. But anyway, yeah.
No, he wasn't the driver.
No, I'm sure it wasn't. No.
He used to drive Hilda back and forth to Revere.
Hilda Steen? Oh, for Pete's sakes.
Oh, out for peanut flats. Oh, she used to get so mad at Dad.
That's what he called
Before he was married to Mom, he had that route.
Greyhound bus driver.
No, I just remember leaving basic training to come home. The song that was playing was Hotel California.
Oh,
Yeah.
So every time
How
I
long
hear
was
that
basic
song,
training?
there were
3 months.
memories.
Well, I went through extended training, and so it was
And
3
AIT
months.
after that?
Yeah,
or-
so that was 3 months for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle and his family chose to be missionaries in Malaysia, and they were gone for 7 years.
Oh,
And they got to come home once during that time, but when they finally came home for good, oh my gosh! I had just a tiny slice of the joy of that feeling. I can't even imagine how the rest of the family was feeling.
yeah. 7 years. Gosh. Yeah.
Okay, where are we?
At work.
Special calling, those missionaries.
It
Okay.
is. It is. At worship, we are invited to participate in the celebration of the feast of the body and blood of Jesus Christ. Sinners are welcomed to the feast. Forgiveness is extended. Let the party begin with God as the host, rejoicing with gusto. How does your congregation welcome sinners?
I handed him a bulletin.
And what are we doing? We're so glad you're
What kind
here.
of question is that? Who are these people that write
And then
this
you make
stuff?
us settle down so we can hear the lesson.
Well,
and
this
service.
is actually a real thing, though.
It is. It is.
But that's crazy talk.
I know that, but this is
is
yeah.
a
We
real
spend
thing, yeah.
we spend half
Really?
of our text study talking about that this week.
Well, what did your text study come up with?
Yeah.
Well, there's no answers. It's what do you deal with when you have people recognizing that there are special sinners coming in, and how do you welcome them?
Well, if I haven't seen somebody's face before, like this sweet lady I met from Ohio, and I told her to come and ring the bell here. She had been at the museum, and she had been coming through, and she wanted to go to the service here at English to hear the Pa's bell, and then she found out it was out to the vineyard, and and I had a delightful conversation. But how did I know? I'd never seen her face before, so I went to and welcomed her, and that's just how I roll.
I know.
I just remember in my home congregation we had a youth leader who had made some life choices that weren't the best, and you know, it takes like 2 seconds in a small town for everybody to know at least a version of it.
Yeah.
And I remember different people making different choices of how they interacted with him after that, especially when he came to church.
I'm sure.
Whether they'd turn their back on him, or whether they'd make a point of going up to him and saying, "Good to see you," and making sure he knew that he was loved and supported. You know, it was pretty distinctive.
I can imagine. And it would be really, I think, take a lot of courage to do the welcoming if you knew the backstory and you
Absolutely.
felt like, you know.
But as Diane said, that's what we're called to do.
Yeah.
Still, yes.
As tough as it is, that's what we're called to do.
I still remember one congregation I had worked with. The treasurer
It just brings you down.
had I don't know if you want to call it accidentally, but happenstance happened where the money came in an unusual way, so it fell into her pocket, and basically embezzling.
Sure.
And you know,
Bad choice.
you know, but the church, you know,
Forgave.
forgave, welcomed her back, didn't give her the treasurer job still, but
No.
you know, it was still
You're
there
not
to
stupid.
support. Yeah, it was still there to support
It's our
her as she went
business.
through the process of both recovery from gambling and also with whatever was the legal ramifications. But you know, it's just where I think about the two boys.
Yeah, it's
It was
for
Started the
called-
fire, or
St. Peter, they vandalized the
Yeah,
church.
okay,
vandalized the
vandalized.
church,
That was the
Yeah,
We had the kid that burned the church.
burned the church.
You know, it's to be that welcoming.
Remember him in class, and there was always that feeling of I wonder.
What's cooking in his
I
brain?
wonder what he might do next. That was, I'm afraid that's what
That's
I
the
wonder
hard
what's
part.
cooking in his brain.
I needed to pay close attention to how
And
things were
and
going.
these people that have had no forewarning and ended up shooting up over the classroom, and it's like, okay, where did that come from? It's just there are so many different personalities, and we just don't know when they're just going to go wired wrong.
It doesn't help that we are taught from an early age to have a public mask. This is how people want you to behave when you're around them.
you have to present a certain way to be acceptable in society.
Never thought about that.
Because I mean, that's
Well, I find it extremely true. I mean, I've battled depression all of my adult life,
Yeah.
but I
That's
have to
really tough.
I have to present myself in a way. I
You're
can't.
very open about it too, and that's
As much
not
as I
easy.
can be. I mean, it's hard because there's still massive stigma about it. But
There's massive misunderstanding,
I think you're right,
and
Beth.
you're right with stigma too.
Yep.
It's just, but yeah, and I know a lot of people, so
yeah, it
But
is-
what
I
can be
mean,
done is to be more accepting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Try to
Well,
just,
and accepting and welcoming someone doesn't necessarily mean you're condoning their behavior.
like you said, you're not going to give her the treasure.
Yeah,
Right.
but you're saying you are loved and you matter.
Yeah.
You matter is important.
I mean, that's the important thing we got with mission of the month last month was St. Dismas with the prisoners going and telling them they matter.
Yeah.
And this month it's Lutheran Campus Ministry and
telling kids they matter.
they matter. I mean, that's the hard thing, kids. I know I did it as soon as I hit college.
Yes.
But to have an opportunity to know that the church still is there for you.
How ironic that part of our love story was taking theology classes together.
Is that right?
Yep, that was our date time. So she got No, you got a double major, didn't you?
Yeah.
She got a double major and I got a minor.
Beth and I, ours revolved around sports.
Yeah.
Yes.
4 season tickets to the Vikings.
Yes.
Yeah. That's very attractive. Yeah.
Oh. Well, how does your congregation rejoice? Well, I mean, there's the regular Sunday morning
Hoo-ha in the
hoo-ha
back.
that's going on.
Yes. The one pianist said, she was very good. Do you remember her? Yeah. And she said, it's like playing in a piano bar. She was not very happy with us.
Dad used to really pick on Nancy.
Well, I think the coffee hours too.
Yeah. We're a loud, boisterous bunch, which is just fine.
Yeah.
But I think I know it was pretty exciting when we were out at Painted Prairie.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Unbelievable.
yeah.
That was impressive.
Quite as exciting when we were at the pageant grounds this year.
Yeah.
Well, it
rain
was in the
kinda-
middle of a rainstorm.
So we made the front page of the paper.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Always get worried when we have pictures in the paper.
Yeah, always should.
It was a beautiful wedding you had out there too.
That was such a nice spot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they do such a good job.
Yes,
out
they
there.
do.
glad for
Yes,
Tony.
they do. Yes, they do.
But how do we rejoice when there's a special event? You know, St. Olaf is pretty good at being a joyful place, but when something special comes along, how do we celebrate? If we know there's an anniversary coming up, or something special is happening, what's our first instinct? Better have a meal.
Yeah. Oh, always with food. I think our funerals are celebrations. I think we've made them. I don't know if we've made them that way, but they are celebrations.
We wanted to honor that person
Yeah.
in a way that was meaningful to the people who are grieving.
Yes.
Both Mom and Marv would have said, "Ugh, too much fuss," but we, as a family, have said, "Not enough fuss."
And it's
Yeah.
the remembering. I mean, I think that I still remember when my grandmother died, trying to figure out why everybody was laughing.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, of course, I was young and didn't understand it. Now I'm older. It's like, because they're remembering. They know, they're the person, how they touch their lives is what's coming back. It's not that they're making light of the person passing. It's their memories, the joy they had with that person are there, and it's what comes up when when you want to remember them. That's the part you want to keep.
I think you too. And I know we're not supposed to. I don't even know what the right word would be. But the building is not supposed to be in the foremost thing.
The church
but
is
there is a lot of emotional connection out our way, and so that's adds to it.
As it should be. I mean, it's where you've done baptisms and weddings and confirmations and funerals. I mean, it's family gatherings.
Yep.
There's nothing more exciting than when all the family comes back and we've got a full church on Sunday morning. I mean, it's
It's awesome.
It is.
because you have no brothers or sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you look out and there's no.
We're one side of the church.
Yeah. You walk out and all the pews are full. It's like, oh, I guess there's a family gathering this week.
Nothing would make Mom happier.
Yeah.
Don't have to do anything special. Just come to church with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's I think that's one of the differences that St. Olaf has. It is a family remembrance place. I mean, it's a lot of family activities there.
And it's stayed that way. I mean, the connections go on and on.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
Well, and that it's not Pollyanna, but overall it chooses to look for the joy.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
And
least
every day.
until I start bringing up my idea of putting a mega church in the
No.
softball field.
Yeah.
Well, at one point you were talking about putting a
We put
tiny
the tent
home.
up for Sherry.
What?
Tiny
We put
Yes.
that tent up for Sherry.
A tiny home, one for each of us in the family, and that'll be the parsonage.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Sophia loved that idea.
Did you really?
What might be done in your congregation to more fully reflect the presence of God and God's joy?
I have to admit, this is one
Can
thing.
always do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one thing I wish we would do a little bit more like some of the Baptist, especially some of the African American Baptist churches. You know, the excitement of when something happens to be able to shout out and say Hallelujah, Amen, to be able to make it.
The joy is freely expressed,
Expressed.
where we're a little more.
Someone
Yay.
would have to lift my hands and speak for me.
I know it's
just
not our
so-
tradition, but I had a one of my classmates at seminary was coming from that type of Baptist background, and
Right.
Yeah.
it was just such a different feeling when he would get up and preach because he would expect us to have this
To
response.
have some feedback.
Well, and there's an intensity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas for us as Lutherans, it's somebody speaking in church.
Yeah.
The world is going to end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Run! Lightning is coming.
The day Jim said Hallelujah, we thought,
I
that's it. It's all over now.
But it's to remember that this is.
You do it and you can get by with it.
I doubt I can get away with a lot.
Yeah. But I
Try to be kind.
and you are. You always are.
Again, it's the joy, just expressing the joy, and and like we talk about having masks. We have certain expectations of what's okay, how are
Yes.
okay ways to express that, and our culture really forms us for that.
Yeah, it does. It does. Our background.
But to still express it in whatever way that we are capable of doing it.
And I think part of that too is the youth gathering experiences that I've had too that are more of the boisterous,
Free-flowing, yeah.
just
Very different.
yeah, because it's been such a mixture of different areas coming together, and it's acceptable. Who would have thought liturgical dance would have been something that kind of it would start that for me.
Well, the clown shows we used to do.
The clown shows were awesome.
That was just cool.
Um,
And we travel around.
I love doing the like portrayals of the woman at the well, and
Yeah.
we did some of those. Deb Keel and Gary Sikora and myself and
Well,
Ronald and
Acting it out.
Al and
I miss Lenten dramas when the church
Yeah,
served
I think-
that. It was just it's expressing it in a different way, in a powerful way.
uh-huh.
But yeah,
So
I had one church where half the service was sharing the peace.
Because there was so much hugging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, that's why sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, I'm sorry to break up the party, but we really
Yeah.
need to move
Yeah.
on.
yes, we are in time constraints too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll get worse this week because now the Vikings are going to be playing. We have to be done before the game
No, it
starts.
starts at
3
3. We have
o'clock.
to leave.
Oh, we can go late then.
Yeah.
No, we can't. We got to go over to Springfield. There's a big party over there.
What's the party? at
Sorry
Spring-
about that. What's Springfield?
What party is it?
Oh, Keith.
Oh.
Yeah, another family thing.
Well, good. Good for him.
Well, actually, no, I'm preaching at St. Olaf.
Yeah,
Okay.
you are.
Trying to remember what church I'm at.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm at Dover.
Okay. Well, should we pray?
Sure. God of grace, thank you for seeking and finding us. Thank you for rejoicing instead of condemning. Release joy in our hearts and lives.
Amen.
For digging deeper, we're encouraged to look at our psalm for this Sunday, Psalm 51, verses 1 through 17. And then for the week, take a deep breath. Allow God to fill your whole being.
And we have a busy week this week. We have our confirmation parents meeting tonight at 5:30 at English. We begin our full fall schedule on Sunday at 8:30 at St. Olaf, 10:30 at English, 9 o'clock at our Saviors, and then we have at our Sunday school will start at 9:30 at St. Olaf, and it'll be at 9:30 for English. The Sunday school will be at Trinity Lutheran at 9:30. And so, yeah, we're getting a busy week.
Walnut Grove area
Yep.
Sunday
The
school.
Ecumenical
ecumenical.
Sunday school. So, but thank you for joining us, and God be with you.
Peace be with you.